just like to welcome you once again to this discussion we'll be having of Israelites that have awakened in the diaspora, and I am just trying to document their stories to share with you that may be seeking or may have similar circumstances, just comparing notes. And the idea came to me some years ago. I was watching or on Facebook, and there was a sister in South Africa, and she was speaking of going to meet her family, and she was hesitant because of the differences that would have developed her finding the Israelite way of life. And I said those are similar experiences. So Daddy Ken, let me just share so that we can all bask in the similarities that we may have in this awakening. This week I have a young lady that she was born and raised in this way of life, but I know that even though some of us are born and raised in the way of life, we have, as I would call, like a burning bush experience. Like Moshe saw the burning bush, and that twisted his entire perspective of who the Creator was. So that's the main aim of these interviews, these conversations. I'd like to introduce Hayafa Ruach.
Shalom, everyone.
Right.
Again, my name is Hayafa Ruach, also known as the Beautiful Spirit. My childhood friends know me as Raquel, and even as my nickname, Rocky. So you might hear people call me Rocky.
Mm-hmm.
That's short for Raquel. And to this day, people still call me Rocky. I have great nieces, and well, my nephew doesn't speak yet, but my great nieces, they call me Auntie Rocky.
Right, and I heard Nas shout you out at the show. Hey, Rocky! So so like I'll start with like my earliest memory of you. You had come to Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a huge bunch of Israelites that visited the temple there. And one of the things I remember is like my first time seeing someone with dreadlocks eating meat. Because, in the Caribbean, you got dreadlocks like you're vegan, whatever you call it here, but, you use ITO. So when I saw that, I was like, what is this? So that's my earliest memory of, me. So like you had visited Guyana at that time. What was your idea of visiting the community? Was that your first time outside the United States?
It wasn't my first time out of the United States, but it was my first time in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a shock. I mean, it was coming from a city, I've never seen animals walking up and down the road.
You saw that in Guyana? You saw that?
I saw that.
Where did you go in Guyana? I'm just kidding, it's all over.
Yeah. So they had, where I stayed that first time, they had, it was like a little posse, like a little duck, a little chicken, a little lamb, like a little crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also seen like cows and horses and I have never seen that coming from New York City.
Okay.
But, I was excited to be there with all of the Israelites that was there. Yeah.
So did that broaden your perspective of Israelite experience, like your Israelites outside of United States on this level, singing the same songs, that kind of thing?
No, I kind of knew.
Okay.
I mean, I knew. I grew up under Colin Levy.
Okay.
And Colin Mikael. So I knew like the certain situations of how Colin Mikael got to Guyana. So I knew, that was going to be the same. It was nice to, be able to just keep on singing and praising the same way that I've been praising. So yeah, it was, it wasn't a shock in that sense, but yeah.
Okay, so what was your early life? Of course, born this way of life, and your father, great man. I mean, I first met him, I remember it was probably an IMA retreat, and that's when we were able to, prepare our foods for ourselves, and he was, over that situation, and he was a very gracious host. I remember that, a lot of knowledge. He wasn't like noisy, but if you were sucked into his bubble, you got information, and that's what I remember. And I know you are, you pick up on that food preparation skill as well. But growing up, what is your earliest memory of yourself?
My earliest memory is that I was living in the projects in New York City in Queensbridge houses, the famous Queensbridge houses projects where Nas is from. So I grew up there, and as a little girl, we traveled to Brooklyn to Hashaba.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't think of the address right now, but everybody knows the address where it was at. But yes,
Belmont.
and Belmont, yes. So I was a young girl there. The teachings was under Cohen Levy and his sons, Cohen Ray Ubin, Cohen Mikael, what's the other one? Cohen Hoshea. So my father is Adon Yeroah Ben Yehuda, may the Most High bless his memory, and he is the brother of Nasi Tavel. So a lot of times people reference Nasi Tavel, but them two are brothers. May his memory be for a blessing. And so that's basically our life. We travel back and forth. I absolutely loved it. As a young girl, my fondest memories of being an Israelite was being a little girl in Hashaba.
Nice. And the memory it thought across my mind some time ago that if Nasi Tavel never met Cohen Mikael, I would not be here. And a lot of other people, where would we have been, that chance meeting, and that's very powerful. So like Laywi-Yisrael and Belmont, what was it like? The building, what was it?
It was a one, from what I can remember, like it was a 1-floor building, and it had a side for the women, it had a side for the men, it had a little space for the children. I don't recall how they pulled off the feast, like how they it just happened, as a little girl. And across the street, when it was like Sukkot, we had this big booth with fruits and everything. We just walk in there and pull fruits down, and I just love that whatever tribe that you represented your tribe well.
Okay.
If you was from Judah, like when we went into the booth, they said the tribe of Levi or the tribe of Gad. Like everybody went in by tribe.
Okay, nice.
So I had a good memory of being a young girl in Hashaba. Time passed and things happened in Hashaba, and we weren't going there no more. As a young girl, I didn't know why. Okay. I didn't know. We went to the different transitions where it went from one building to the next building to the next building, and then we wasn't there. So, So by that time, I probably was in junior high school, I think.
Okay.
Around that time, something like that.
Coming from a British education system, that don't mean nothing to me.
Oh, junior high school.
I don't know what that is, but anyway.
But that's another level. That's before high school.
What age is that?
Maybe 10.
Right,
11,
that would be
like
standard 2, standard 3, standard 4 with us.
Yeah.
But do you remember, has your father ever given you information of his awakening? How did he wake up to this knowledge? Was him before his brother, around the same time?
I think it was around the same time, because as far as I can remember, my uncle was there. Like, whatever was happening, my uncle Nasi Tavel was there. When my father passed away, we found his tags, and it had on there that he was what was the inscription? It didn't say Israelite. It may have said Jew or Hebrew, one of them.
That's how he identified when he was in the army.
When he was in the army. Wow. So even when he went to the army and he traveled to different places, he visited a synagogue, and they invited him to come to Passover and stuff like that. So as far as I remember, my Abba always knew that he was an Israelite. So the years, I don't know.
Yeah, because I saw Rabbi Matthews as well. He like on his war documents as well. I think I saw that he identified himself as a Hebrew. So those men really stood up for their heritage back in those days. And of course, your Ima, how did she come into the life?
So they met in Philadelphia. that time, I don't think my Abba told her that, you know, this is what he was doing or what have you. But they met, they fell in love, they got married, and because I tried to ask my Ima too, like, what did he say to you? Did he, you know, say this is what you have to do or whatever? And she was like, I just did it. Whatever he said, I just did it. I liked it. It fell in line. She was a church, you know, she was a Christian, and she said she liked it. She liked when she went to Hashaba and everything that they had going on, and quickly my mother became, you know, a seamstress. She made all our clothes, she made all our food. We carried our pots and pans everywhere we went. If we went to our grandma's house, so yeah, my Ima she just fell in line. She just fell in line.
Okay, so your father basically brought her into
Yeah.
life. Mm-hmm. So you said your memory now, you left the Shaba, you're now in junior high school, and you're living as an Israelite in junior high school. Did you actually ever experience the Israelite Institute? Did you ever go?
No, I was too young to go to the Israelite Institute. I had 2 older brothers. They went to the Israelite Institute. I may have went there one time, but not like as a student.
Okay.
Probably they needed to babysit me or something.
Okay.
But I didn't go as a student. So I always went to public school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my older brothers, they went there for a time, and then they transitioned to public school.
How many siblings do you have?
So I have two older brothers. One has passed away. So my oldest brother name is Dawid. He lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I had a brother named Ariel. He passed away at a very young age, 20 something.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and then I have twin brothers, Nasel and Quano. They're younger than me. So I'm the only girl. I'm in the middle.
I
Yes.
understand. It's a double. Oh my God. It's the only girl close in the middle. I understand now.
Yeah.
I
So-
forgive you for. Yeah, I understand.
You what happened? You do what?
Totally understand. So in like junior high school, you were like 10, you said?
Yeah. So around that time in junior high school, I feel like my brothers had more situationships with being Israelites than me. You know, like, you know, they had to wear the kippah and all that stuff. We used to take their kippahs and they used to have to fight for their identity. I don't recall that when I was young, you know. At that time, people wanted to be like me. You know, people wanted to be like me, and also my father required to some degree for them to be like me as far as like wearing skirts and things like that. If he took us to the movies, you couldn't come unless you had on a skirt. To the ice cream parlor, you couldn't come unless you had a skirt. So he said you got 10 minutes to go home, change your clothes, come back, and then we go out. So my father oversaw a lot of my young age of just coming up and going out into the world. I didn't spend the night at people's houses. I really didn't go anywhere. He was the one who took the kids or took me to different places.
Different outings.
Yeah.
Okay, you control that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wonderful. So, like, was there any time that the Western, because you said he ensured that your friends wore skirts, etc., was there any time that the Western culture, the urban dress, did it influence you away from the Israelite identity?
Yes, when I was transitioning to going into high school, that was the time when I was like, okay, I want to dress like the other girls. And it was no one real thing. It's just that I was going to a high school that was not in my neighborhood. It was, you know, a new environment. I'm from Long Island City, Queens, so I was going to Jamaica, Queens. And I just wanted to dress like the other girls. So now, without going too deep into the situation, my Abba was not home at that time. When my Abba wasn't home, he was away. That was the time that I used to be begging my Ima to take me shopping and buy me certain clothes.
And this was
so that I
around
could wear.
the hip hop era, busting out everybody with the baggy jeans and okay.
So I first started wearing, you know, pants, so to speak. Is that the style was that you would wear like a long kind of top with a little blouse at the bottom and like spandex. At that time, that was like stirrups. I don't know. It's like you used to put your foot inside. People on the internet gonna know what that was.
So you're putting your foot inside of the stocking?
Stirrup, yeah. So it's like so it's called stirrups and things like that. So it just went on from there. So during my high school years, that's when I really was not dressing like how Israelite girls should dress.
Mm-hmm. And what caused you to snap back? Because you're one of the sisters that always, regardless you dress, you represent the culture. So what caused you to now take this stancer position?
Well, when I was in high school, like, I guess I was probably like maybe 11 or 12th grade or whatever. At that time, all the girls were Muslim. Like, they was going to take their Shahada, and they were, coming to school dressed to the T. I don't know if you ever seen, like,
was it Nation Islam or like Sunni Muslim,
I
all
think
black?
There was a mix.
Okay.
I think it was two different types. I think you had the Sunni Muslim, and then you had the Nation Islam. Okay. And let me just backtrack. When I was young, when I was a little girl, people always assumed that we were Earths. I don't know if you know that term, like Earth, with a 5% and things like. So people always thought that's what I was or what have you. But when I was in high school, I was looking at the Muslims girl, and they were coming in looking so beautiful. Never a wrinkle anywhere. Their silhouette was like, just flowy. Like, they just looked like they was floating through the hall, and they smelled so good. You know how the Muslim, back then it was a Muslim man on the corner selling oils and incense, and had the little books and stuff like that. And I had visited a couple of tables, and I used to pick up the little books, and they used to talk about the things that was in there. Was like, that was our culture. Right. Women, uncleanness, and being a woman and stuff like that. And I was like, wait a minute, I have my own culture.
Right.
I have my own thing. I don't need to do, because I was like, well, maybe I should do what they're doing. But I was like, I remember as a little girl being with Cohen Levy and being the women were fly then. My Ima was fly. You know what I'm saying? My Ima dressed nice, and I love fashion. I used to read the little fashion magazines, plus hip hop culture, and I was like, no, I have to make this like my own, my own
flavor,
style.
right.
Yeah, my own flavor.
And you have, like, you got your own flavor, absolutely. Dress. Do you think that the young women today, do you see them in your high school dilemma? And if so, how can you get them back on track with Israelite culture?
I could, before it could really be about the culture, I feel like it's the spirit. That you got to take on that spirit and that relationship with the Most High, and know that how you want to walk and present yourself, you want to do that, before the Creator. Like, you want to do the things that's going to please Him. So to me, it's more of a spirit. And I feel like the requirements that we had to have back then, we don't have those requirements. Like, we had the book, we had notes, we had meetings, and we had discussions and things like that. We so I don't know. I don't really think it's more like the dress needs to change. I feel like the spirit of the woman needs to change. The spirit of the young daughter needs to change.
And that's going to blossom into everything else.
Everything else.
Okay, I agree with that totally. So here you are, growing up in an Israelite home. There had to be some time that you're just doing by road. Mommy said this, Daddy, Abba said this. So when was it that for yourself something hit you like, boom, I'm gonna do this like for real. I understand this now.
When I started transitioning to being myself as an Israelite when I was coming out of high school,
okay.
And I had to do it for myself. because there was a time when we were not going to the temple.
Right.
As an adult, I learned some factors that happened during the time and why things happened. So I started just making that transition for myself, changing the way I dress, start wearing jeans. Well, that was a hard transition. I'm not even going front. But I, who did I meet first? Well, I basically, did I meet Avishadai? Avishadai? I can't remember, but I started from that time when I was in my 20s, I started going to Benny and Dot. And I was the only one going to services. Nobody else from my family. So nobody else was going, you know. I was the one who pulled everybody to come back into the fold of, you know, worshiping the Most High like that. You know, we already, even though we weren't going to the temple, we had like a little structure in the home. But, you know, just going out and being part of the community and stuff like that. I was the one who started it first.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Now, you are, you know, a grown woman, you're known for certain things. One of the things you're known for is your self-care. Where does self-care come from? I grew up, I was doing certain things, we didn't call it self-care. Who coined the term? Where did it start?
I'm not sure who coined the term, but I've always been into self-care. My father was, like you said, they didn't have a term for it. But as it became popular, my father was the one who instilled this type of self-care in me. I was the only girl, so I may have been a little spoiled than some, but my father was the one who, you know, taught me etiquette, taking care of myself, you know, presenting myself as a young girl or a young woman. It was my father that put me on that you know, that path, was, you know. And as I got older, I just realized that self-care is not just about like pampering or doing those things that kind of make you feel good, but it's also about working on your inner spirit. So that's when I started reading more on self-help books, and also Proverbs 31 hit me. Boom. When I read that for myself as an adult, I'm like, okay, this, to me, it was a perfect example of how a woman should be.
Yeah, the Proverbs 31 woman is really rounded. You know, she has everything covered as a woman. And when you think of our experience here in the Western Hemisphere, you know, we have been influenced in a lot of ways. And basically, for us men, many times we have taken on the spirit of the European enslaver, which is one that hates women, basically, the same woman that it came out of. And what I've seen is that Israelite men many times use the scriptures to back up their fallacy on the way their relationship is supposed to be with the women. Have you seen that in your experience?
Not in my home.
Okay, right.
My father loved my mother. He did not abuse her, or he didn't treat her any crazy way, like you're a woman or whatever. My mother, you still my mother? You seen my mother? My mother has been like the same way all these years. But my mother, if she want to do something or whatever, you know, she's gonna do it.
She reminds me of my mother. Very quiet, but she gets her way.
She gets away. So yeah, I didn't see that in my home, but I have seen it in the community. You know, but not in my home. So every time when people bring up stuff, I'm like, my father never did.
Yeah.
My father never did that.
Yeah.
My father never said that to my mother. My father never treated my mother that way. And just as good as my father treated my mother, my father treated me good too.
Yeah, I could see, like, just like I said, I met him a few times, no long, extensive conversation, especially not calling him on the phone, whatever, but you can see the kind of spirit he was. Loving, this respect, his structure was ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He was, you know, I always say, like, I'm the only girl, you know, I'm the favorite, whatever. But my father had many daughters and many sons,
Right.
you know, just from the community and just, He was like a wise man.
Mhm.
You know, people come sit with him and talk to him, and he gives wisdom. I mean, he gave me wisdom. Sometimes I have to be like, Apple, talk to me in English, like in complete sentences, because I'm not sure what you're saying. But yeah, my father, as a young girl, my father took me to fancy restaurants.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
He took me to places where, you know, it'd be like a little thing here.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so he showed me like etiquette, how to behave in a restaurant, you know, we went to the ice cream parlor. Like, he took me to shows. Some of my fondest memories of my father, one year he took my friends to Cats, to see the play Cats. That's an old
it's the longest running part. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I, as a young girl, I was like, wow. You know, we went to Broadway shows. Sometimes my father would be like, stand right here, I'll be right back. My father never had a ticket to go nowhere. Okay? So he used to be like, stand right here, I'll be right back. And then he come back, he like, come on, let's go. You know, we went to see Prince. Like, we went to Broadway shows. So yeah, my father was, you know, he was a good man. Every man has his faults. I'm not saying he's perfect, but as far as like the treatment in the relationship between husband and wife and daughter, even sons, you know, we ain't had no smoke.
Okay, wonderful. So all of the stuff he has exposed you to, what aspect of his legacy do you want to carry on with you?
All right, we're back. I had to get some water. So we were talking about the legacy of my father. So the legacy of service. My father was a very service-oriented man. He served not only the Israelite community, but he served his community in Queensbridge. So yeah, I have, before my father passed on, you know, he taught me how to cook, you know, not just cook, but, you know, cooking for a large amount of people is different from cooking like your family meal. So he showed me how to, you know, work in the kitchen, how to operate, how to do certain things in certain order.
How to do that spread.
Yeah, how to make it look nice and
amazing.
pretty.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, my father, you know, he showed me how to do all those things. So how I continue it now here in Hashaba Hebrew Family of Charlotte is that during the spring and summer months, I host breakfast.
It's a wonderful breakfast.
So I make all the spreads. Some things I make from scratch, some things I don't, depend, you know, it's Shabbat, so we can't have every single thing. So yeah, so that's my service here at Hebrew Family of Charlotte. Everywhere I go, I serve. So if I was in another place, I served that Shema in New York. I served at Beni Adat. I served at Beth Shalom. I serve wherever I go. I'm gonna serve because that's what my father taught me. And one thing that I really admire about my father is that he stayed in his lane. He stayed a cook. He didn't be a cook, be a candlestick maker.
That's what I'm saying. Like a few times actually meeting him, he was doing what he was doing.
He did. That's all he did. From day one, that's what my father did. And I believe he picked up that skill because he was in the army. He was in Vietnam. My father went to Vietnam twice. Wow. It was exciting to learn about how, you know, what he did when he was in the army, because when he didn't really talk about it. We just knew that he went to Vietnam twice, but the ins and outs, no. Towards the end of my father's life, I used to ask him little questions, but then when I found paperwork and I looked up where it said he was a 6-gunner thing, and I looked it up, and he had this big gun and all the medals. He never talked about that. When he passed away, I looked through all his stuff, and he won medals for saving people's lives and all that stuff. So when he was in the army, he was a cook. So when, you know, in the army, that's a lot of people. He dealt with big pots, big heat. You know, he talked about you could burn, you could cook a whole person in a pot, you know. So he dealt with that stuff, and then he just brought that on when he was making that transition to leave the military to come to New York. He went to cooking school. Okay. and so he got certificates in that.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was his thing. He stayed in his lane. He didn't try to go over here, go there. As for me, I'm a Jill of all trades, a master of none, but I get the job done. So I'm a very creative person. You know, I could cook, I could sew, I can keep house. You know, I have a list.
That's good.
And yeah, when I was, and to just say that, when I was young in my 20s or so, when it was like the proper age to be like kind of getting married, my mother used to be like, come in the kitchen and watch what I'm doing. Learn how to make this macaroni and cheese. And I was like, Emma, I'm not doing that. I was, at that time, that was like, you know, you want to be a corporate American, corporate person. You know, I worked in the medical field. So I was like, I'm not doing that. But then it just kicked in. Why did it kick in? Because I love the Most High. I love this way. If you love this way and you're not dilly-dallying in different things, in Proverbs 31 it says she doesn't eat the bread of idleness. If you don't make it, she made her hands ready. Can you make fringes? Can you make some fringes, some garments? What can you do?
Right.
If you don't get into it, it's not gonna get into your spirit.
That is true.
It's not gonna get into your spirit.
Final question: what made you transition from living in New York to North Carolina?
Oh, I just loved it. I love the atmosphere of North Carolina. I love the community, but it was more than just the community. I love just being here in North Carolina. It's just a different air. It's just a different energy. It was the energy that I needed. I grew up in the rough streets of New York and Queensbridge, and before I moved here, I was living, where was I living? I think I was living in, I lived in Far Rockaway, Queens, and I lived in Queensbridge for two. So it was just more of, I just love the change, and I love the energy, and of course I love the Hebrew family of Charlotte. I just love being here. Yeah. Final questions? I have a lot, you know, but I don't know if we don't got time for all that. Any other questions? You sure? That's the last question.
That is the last question I can think of. You just want to spill information?
I don't know. I'm just gonna say that, you know, Morey is trying to put together these videos to help inspire other people. Absolutely. Right? Inspire other people. And as I grow older, you know, I want to be an example of inspiration to others, because one of the things that made me fall in love with this way of life is that the words is true. The word of the Most High is true. And when you experience life and you read the book, experience life, you say, oh, wait, hold on. I've seen this in the book. I've seen how this happened in the book. I see how, you know, things transpire. And when you just learn about the world and these fake religions and holidays and stuff like that, you realize, oh, wait a minute. It's in the book. We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to do this. It's either today's portion. It's either you're going to choose the Most High or you're not.
That's right. And excellent Matthew's portion as well that you did today. That was excellent. Really well done. All right, to our family, for your time, I pray that we can continue to share experiences here in the diaspora of the actual awakening of the nation of Israel. The Most High said he would scatter us, he would regather us, and the process has been happening over 100 years. But at this time, at this stage, we're just sharing our stories with you to inspire you wherever you are. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom.